Thomas Massie is being bullied heavily by Donald Trump. Thomas Massie is up for re-election. And although my views don't really align with his politically, except for being anti-war and sending this money, overseas and stuff like that, what Donald Trump is doing to Thomas Massie is downright damn near disrespectful at this point in time, because he has now shifted his focus from attacking Thomas Massie to going after his wife. And I feel like that's the lowest of the low, because she is not running for office. And Thomas Massie, for those who are not aware, he is remarried. His previous wife died. So we're talking about someone who lost their former wife. It's been about a year? About a year and a half ago. And now the president of the United States, who he 100% supported and backed, is going after his new wife. Let's go ahead and get into it here, ladies and gents. Thomas Massie reveals that FBI Director Kash Patel concluded there were no Epstein clients before reviewing a single interview that could have implicated 20 alleged clients, including 6 billionaires. So this is why Trump is going after Thomas Massie.
But I asked Kash Patel here just recently, the day before he had testified to the Senate, that Epstein, even though there are 1,000 victims, that Epstein was the only perpetrator.
Right.
And so the next day he came to House Judiciary, and I said, well, the victims, which we prefer to call survivors, the ones who are still alive, the survivors tell me that you guys have at least 20 names. And I don't have I told him one of the names, Jess Staley,
right,
who's the CEO.
Jess Staley is also a banker. His name has come up quite a bit. So Thomas Massie let the cat out the bag. He joined alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ro Khanna to help the Epstein victims here, because it's the right thing to do. And obviously he's taken a lot of heat from members of his own party and, of course, Donald Trump, because he decided to do that. But what he unveiled in this interview here was that Kash Patel and them are liars, as we all thought, and that not only did they have information, but he was told that they had at least 20 names. So Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino were lying through their teeth. And Donald Trump is mad, not just because Thomas Massie decided to join alongside Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene for this effort. He crossed partisan lines, but also because he didn't do what Trump told him to do. He didn't bend the knee. And he let the cat out the bag. He let people know that Kash Patel and them were lying. Let's go on more here.
It said, but there's 19 other names, as 6 of them are billionaires. One's a movie producer. We're not just making these up. You can go find these people in your files. And have you seen anything in your files? No. Well, I said, what about the 302 forms, the FD 302, which you've already referenced, because the survivors know that the FBI memorializes these interviews and these 302 forms. And so have you looked at the 302 forms? And he said, no.
Right.
And I said, well, how can you testify that there's nobody that's done any crimes or any reasonable leads to follow? And he said, well, I trust the people that work for me. Well, that's a problem. If we trusted the people that were working there, Joe Biden would still be president, right? Or Kamala Harris. Donald Trump was elected and then got a new FBI director so that he could go back and check the homework.
Right.
And what's he doing? He's testifying for their homework, which he's never even looked at.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Yeah. So let me just put this up here from the screen. The problem that Thomas Massie ran into is a similar problem that Marjorie Taylor Greene also ran into, whereas that they said they were going to fight for those victims. So they stood by, they kept their word. And Donald Trump sees that as though you are not being loyal, even though they have backed and supported Donald Trump 99.8%. But all it takes is for you to say no to one thing, especially something that also implicates him, makes him look bad in the files. And Donald Trump is done with you. So now what you are going to see is Donald Trump coming after Thomas Massie's wife. Like, I swear to God, we are not in high school. We are not in middle school. But this is where we're at now. Thomas Massie says, so he's attacking my wife who voted for him 3 times. Maybe someone told him she's actually the one who suggested I ask Pam Bondi in person at dinner when we would get phase 2 of the Epstein files. Bondi said there were no more files. As they say, the rest is history. So that was the next lie. Pam Bondi saying that there weren't any more files. Well, we know that's all false. Even this last dump of files that just happened still aren't all the files. They're only letting us see what they want us to see. And they already started making changes there, so we can't see that anymore. So Donald Trump goes on to go after his wife. People are saying that Thomas Massie became a liberal because his new wife, blessed be their marriage, is supposedly a radical left flamethrower. This new union all went so fast that maybe he didn't know what he was getting into, but nevertheless, he's absolutely terrible and unreliable Republican. Perhaps a rhino, or maybe even worse. Ed Gallerin, a farmer and a war hero, is running against Massie. He is a high quality individual, and there's no candidate for Congress that could be better. Couldn't be better. He is running because he realizes Thomas Massie, he's been totally disloyal to the president of the United States. Oh, I forgot to sniff. You know, he sniffs a lot. And the Republican Party. He never votes for us. He always goes with the Democrats. Thomas Massie is a complete and total disaster. Total disaster. We must make sure he loses big. Must lose big. Gotta lose big. I added in some extras there at the end because Donald Trump likes to reiterate to add more dramatic effect. So because Thomas Massie didn't run to Donald Trump's beck and call because he disagreed with Donald Trump, now he's a radical left flamethrower. If you don't agree with Trump on everything, you are now radical left flamethrower, which is also acting, by the way. Also acting. You have members of the Trump family that is friends with members of the Biden family. You guys know that? You guys know that? You guys know that Joe Biden's daughter and Donald Trump's daughter, Tiffany, are besties? So this is it's theater, it's circus. All right. So now he's going low, even lower, and going after his wife. Donald Trump, alongside Miriam Adelson, they have organized billions of dollars to try to make sure that Thomas Massie does not get reelected. You have an actual president of the United States interfering in a congressional race to the point that he tapped Miriam Adelson on the shoulder and said, let's make sure we get Thomas Massie out. Now, Thomas Massie probably could win re-election. He's like a libertarian, but he caucuses with the Republican Party most of the time. And then the one few times where he decided, nope, because here's what he's not going to vote for. Thomas Massie is not going to approve money going to Israel, foreign aid. He's not going to approve some of the welfare stuff either. He's one of these big people that's like no on the spending. If I ever had a conversation with him, I would tell him like, no, we got the money to do it. And I would have to talk to him about modern monetary theory, which tells you that this idea of the debt ceiling is a myth. Thomas Massie went to MIT. He's a very smart guy. So I would tell him about MMT. But anything when it comes to money going to wars, money going to Israel, like he's not going to prove those things. And as a libertarian, I mean, you shouldn't. It's like it goes against the libertarian like principles, you know? So if he's a libertarian, that makes sense. And so it's not like Thomas Massie became like this yesterday. Thomas Massie was also like this under the Biden presidency. But now Donald Trump's in the White House. And Trump's like, no, you don't understand. You're supposed to support me. Marjorie Taylor Greene responded and she said, President Trump treats those who support him the most like crap. Thomas' wife voted for him 3 times. She's not a radical left flamethrower. And Thomas Massie votes with the president 91% of the time, but won't vote to protect Epstein's sick pedophile and rapist friends or send America's hard-earned tax dollars to Israel's wars or any other foreign country. The president should be more concerned with voters who put him in office, like Thomas Massie's wife, not super rich donors and their favorite foreign countries and business demands. Losing elections to Democrats in super red districts like Texas Senate, where Trump endorsed, should be sending warning alarms across the president's desk. But instead, he's attacking Republican Tom Massie with one of the most conservative voting records in the House and his new wife with a 3-time MAGA voting record. And all the weak Republicans in the House stay silent, refusing to utter even a word of support for their friend Thomas Massie. Shame on every one of you, cowards. You make me sick. That's why she got out of there. Because it's a cult. If you don't go along with the leadership, that's just how it is. It's cult-like mentality, and they'll get rid of you. Donald Trump has friends in low places like Miriam Adelson, and they put a lot of money together to try to get Thomas Massie out of there. And one thing I will say this about Thomas Massie that I do appreciate. During the 2024 presidential election, Thomas Massie was one of the moderators for the third-party independent candidate debate. I've never heard Thomas Massie say, forget about third parties, forget about independents. That I will say. And part of me wonders this time around if he wins re-election, if he'll change his status to independent. Part of me wonders. So stay tuned for that, folks, because he's really trying to get him out of there. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.